trucks are supposed to last forever. That's the dream. But 2025 models are already showing cracks in the system. From thin oil debates and plastic engine parts to turbocharger fears, owners are starting to wonder if modern trucks are really built to last. The truth isn't simple. Some of these problems come from design shortcuts, others from new tech that isn't ready for real roads. Either way, the result's the same: engines giving out sooner than expected. So, stick around, because the next few minutes might change how you look at your truck forever. Number 5. High-strung turbo engines working overtime. One big reason modern half-ton truck engines probably won't last like the old ones is how hard they're being pushed. These new engines are small, but built to make big power. We're talking 6 cylinders, even 4 cylinders, putting out torque numbers that used to belong to heavy V8s. Look at the Turbo Max. It's cranking out nearly 50 more pound-feet of torque than the traditional V8, yet it's half the size and running half the cylinders. That sounds impressive until you think about what's happening inside those cylinders. Each one is handling more pressure, more heat, and more workload than ever before. That's great for power and fuel economy, but it's a lot of stress on pistons, rods, cylinder walls, and gaskets. None of that screams long lifespan. Turbo engines also run hotter, and heat kills engines faster than almost anything. More heat means more strain on the cooling system, thinner margins for error, and faster wear on parts that were already working overtime. It's not that these engines can't handle it. They can, at least for a while. But over the long haul, constant high pressure and high heat take their toll. These smaller turbo engines are tuned to deliver performance through the warranty period. They'll tow, haul, and punch out plenty of power. But once the miles start adding up, the constant stress catches up too. It's not about bad design, it's just physics. Smaller engines working harder will always wear out sooner than larger ones cruising at half effort. That's why engines like Ford's 7.3-liter Godzilla V8 still earn respect. It's old school, simple, and doesn't need to push itself to the edge to get the job done. When it comes to long-term reliability, there's no replacement for displacement. Still, even the biggest engines can't escape what's happening deep inside, where thinner piston rings are quietly creating thicker problems. Number 4. Thin piston rings, thick problems. Piston rings are tiny metal bands around the pistons, and they are a big deal. They've quietly changed more than most people realize. Diesel engines still use thick, high-tension oil rings that scrape oil off the cylinder walls and seal compression tight. But most modern gas engines, including the ones in today's trucks, now use thinner, lightweight, low-tension piston rings. Why, you may ask? Well, 'tis all about fuel economy and emissions. Lower tension means less internal friction, which helps squeeze out a few extra miles per gallon and reduces exhaust gases. On paper, that's great, but it comes with trade-offs that can cost long-term reliability. Thinner oil rings don't scrape as effectively, so more oil slips into the combustion chamber and burns off. That's why so many modern engines use more oil between changes. It's not your imagination. It's baked into the design. And when oil burns, it leaves carbon deposits that gunk up valves, pistons, and sensors over time. There's also the issue of blow-by. Thin rings can't seal as tightly under pressure, letting combustion gases leak past into the crankcase. That pressure pushes oil vapors into the intake system, adding even more grime and buildup where it doesn't belong. Then there's heat. Thin piston rings expand faster. When the metal gets too hot, the ring ends can touch and dig into the cylinder wall. That's how you get scoring, wear, and reduced compression. All signs of an engine aging faster than it should. And finally, thinner rings are simply more fragile. They're easier to warp or crack, especially under heavy loads or high temperatures. It's the trade-off for cleaner emissions and better efficiency. These rings help engines run smoother when new, but they don't offer the toughness of old-school designs. Over time, that's what shortens the lifespan of modern truck engines. Less friction now, more wear later. And that wear only gets worse when the parts holding everything together aren't even metal anymore. Number 3. Plastic parts and shorter lifespans. Another reason modern truck engines just don't last like they used to is simple. Everything's turning into plastic. Open the hood of almost any new truck and it's everywhere. Plastic intake manifolds, plastic valve covers, plastic fuel lines, fans, radiators. Even the throttle body actuator is plastic now. It's all lightweight and cheap to make, and that's exactly why manufacturers use it. A lighter engine helps meet strict fuel economy and emissions goals, but long-term it comes with serious trade-offs. The problem with plastic is that it doesn't age well. It expands and contracts with every heat cycle, and trucks go through thousands of them. In places with cold winters or scorching summers, that repeated heating and cooling causes plastic to warp, crack, or leak. Anyone who's replaced a plastic radiator knows how common that is. The end caps almost always start leaking first, and when that happens, you don't repair it. You replace the whole thing. A lot of these parts aren't even designed to be serviceable anymore. They're built as single-use components. Once they fail, they're done. That might make sense for manufacturing costs, but it leaves owners footing the bill when something small breaks outside of warranty. A plastic fuel line, for instance, can melt or snap after a few years of heat exposure, and it's not something that can just be patched up. The bigger concern is how far this trend will go. With every new model year, more metal parts disappear. Plastic is cheap, light, and easy to mold. Perfect for production, not for longevity. And while it helps automakers meet efficiency targets, it hurts long-term reliability. If it feels like modern engines are built to a price instead of a standard, that's because they are. The push for lightweight design has turned durability into an afterthought, and plastic is leading the charge. The next weak link, though, isn't the parts themselves, it's what's flowing through them. But before we get into the final two, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to explore what's truly happening under the hood. Number 2. Thin oils and long intervals. Any autophile can tell you how thin the oil has become. These days, 0W20 oil is everywhere. It's used in the twin-turbo Tundra, GM's V8S, the 3.0 Duramax, Ram's new Hurricane 6, the Nissan Frontier, and even the new Tacoma. Lighter oils like these reduce friction and boost fuel economy, which helps automakers meet emission standards. But thinner oil also means thinner protection, especially when engines are under heavy load. Older engines ran thicker oil, like 15W40 in a 7.3 power stroke. That kind of oil forms a strong film between moving parts. With 0W20, that film can collapse more easily under stress, like towing, high RPMs, or extreme heat. When that happens, metal starts touching metal, wearing down engine bearings and crankshafts faster. And this isn't just theory. GM's 6.2-liter V8 faced major recalls for bearing failures caused by a rough crankshaft finish combined with thin oil. The fix? Switching from 0W20 to 0W40, a thicker oil that better cushions the crankshaft and bearings. That change alone helped stop engines from failing early. It's not just the oil weight causing problems, though. Modern engines also go far longer between oil changes. The 6.2 liters interval, for example, stretches to 7,500 miles or more. Combine that with direct injection, which allows fuel to mix with oil over time, and you're asking for trouble. That fuel dilution breaks down the oil even faster, reducing its ability to protect the engine. If you trade trucks every few years, this probably won't matter. But for anyone planning to keep their truck past the warranty, thin oil and long intervals are a risky combo. They save fuel today, but they might cost an engine tomorrow. But the biggest challenge comes next, as modern trucks trade mechanical grit for electronic complexity. And that's where real trouble begins. Number 1. electronics overload, and fragile wiring. Engines used to be mechanical marvels. Now they're electronic networks. Modern trucks rely on sensors, computers, and modules for everything. Fuel delivery, throttle response, even the direction your eyes are looking. Every injection pulse, every spark, every function is tracked by a sensor. It makes trucks smarter, more efficient, and safer, but it also makes them fragile. Fuel systems now run at more than 4,000 psi. Dozens of sensors monitor every move. Under the hood, computers talk to 20 or more control modules. That's a lot of things that can fail, especially over time or in harsh climates. Owners in colder regions, where salt and moisture attack wiring, are already seeing the results: corrosion, short circuits, and endless electrical gremlins. Even the wiring itself has changed. The copper inside modern trucks is thinner to save weight and cost. Compare that to an older pickup. The wires were 2 or 3 times thicker. If a cable rubbed against metal, it could take years before it wore through. Today, one small rub can expose copper, and once salt or moisture gets in, the damage spreads fast. Chasing a single bad wire through a modern harness can take days. These issues won't show up right away. For the first few years, everything runs perfectly. But over time, as the insulation hardens, as sensors start reading inconsistently, and as connectors corrode, problems start stacking up. Owners who lease or trade every 5 years might never notice. But long-term owners, the ones planning to keep their trucks a decade or more, are the ones who'll deal with the fallout. Engines themselves might still be solid. It's the wiring, sensors, and endless electronics wrapped around them that are the weak link. The modern pickup is powerful, efficient, and loaded with tech, but sometimes all that technology makes it its own worst enemy. That wraps up the breakdown of why 2025 truck engines might not last as long as promised. Did you find this helpful? Let us know in the comments, and click here for the next one. More deep dives into cars, engines, and the truth behind what's really happening on the road. Thanks for watching.